I hate self-help books. I'm gonna say that right now before I even get anywhere. They take 20,000 words to say things that take 5 minutes. They dance around the actual issue with top 10 tips and stupid rules to live by. I don't care for it. I never cared for it. So allow me to condense all of self-help into a single video. If you are somebody even remotely like me, then you can probably recognize if your life isn't ideal. It's not what you want, but you're not sure how to get from where you are to where you want to be. The hard truth is that it can take a long time, often multiple years, but it is very simple to begin. The goal of self-help is to help yourself, naturally, but I have yet to see anybody actually explain why it works and what it does. It's like people write about the results, and then some people stumble upon the mechanism themselves reading about it, so then that counts as the book working. It's actually a little insulting, honestly. The real mechanism is so straightforward that it hurts. But let's go the long way around for fun. Consider it like a scenic route. To both mock self-help and provide something helpful, I will use myself as an example. When I was a teenager, I was a bit of a wreck. I barely showered, wore the same clothes a lot, didn't brush my teeth, didn't care what I ate, all kinds of shit. I had zero care for myself and was basically the autistic shut-in stereotype. Eventually, I started to really feel the discomfort of that life, and I started seeking out things that lessened the discomfort of it. I started showering more often, not because it was expected of me, but because I recognized that being clean made me more comfortable. Since I was a borderline mute shut-in who barely left his room ever, I would wait until everybody else was asleep before taking my showers, and that worked for me. I started stacking on multiple small decisions just like that one, and I started keeping tropical insects as pets to form my room around my autistic interest in bugs at the time. Having living things in my room made it feel more alive, and it made me feel more alive as well. I enjoyed handling giant roaches and watching them do stuff, and the more choices that I made for myself about my own life, the more I ended up building my own foundation as a person without even realizing it. I am in a constant process of making better choices, one thing at a time. These videos I make are a part of it. It's my choice to make these, so I do. Think about it like this. Every little decision you make and every little thing you do of your own free will is a tiny piece of agency and identity. Even when you're doing something as simple as taking your own trash out, that's a whole chain of decisions. You decide at what point it goes out, at what time of day you take it out, and you decide to remove items from your space that don't help you. If you buy your own shampoo, it doesn't matter which one you buy because you made the choice to buy that one yourself. It could simply be the cheapest shampoo that didn't suck, and that's still your choice. These small decisions are the rawest form of personal agency you can engage in right now, at any time. Every single thing you decide to deal with yourself or manage on your own is a small piece of agency that gets added to your brain. After you make enough small decisions regularly, you build your own sense of personal agency, and then you start wanting to make bigger choices. It's a compounding effect that snowballs over time. Make enough small choices, and eventually you'll feel pulled towards more. I've had many ups and downs. I've reverted and felt stuck, and it really does throw me off when life decides to sucker punch me with something. I never stopped trying to make better choices for myself, however. I pursued hobbies, I switched habits out and built new ones. I learned to do things myself that on the surface have no impact, but to me they matter. I learned to drive and just barely passed my driver's test. After eroding my front teeth and needing reconstructive dental work, I started drinking tea instead of soda. I decided to go for walks every day, not because it's comfortable for me, but because it's stabilizing and good for my well-being. I got a remote job so I could pay for my own basic necessities. I've been picking up pieces of my life and managing them myself without anybody asking, simply because I wanted to. At first, I wanted to ease discomfort. Then I wanted to be a little bit nicer to myself sometimes. Then I started actually doing things differently. And now I'm working on the blueprints of my own future. Nobody had to tell me to do that. I just started to think more about it once I had started building that sense of independence. I started thinking about what I could do personally to get to where I wanted to be. Here's another interesting thing. If you know anything about child development, you probably know that little kids go through a phase where they want to do everything themselves. Doesn't matter what it is, so long as they get to do it their way. This is a very important point for mental development, because if a kid isn't allowed to do it themselves, even if they're bad or inefficient or they make a mess doing it, then it'll stunt their sense of agency and identity. It's one of those things that's really difficult to identify later because of how foundational that development point actually is. If people never develop that personal agency, then they live their lives just letting things happen instead of attempting to enact change themselves. The point here is that you don't have to make perfect choices. You don't even have to make good ones, as long as they're yours. I've made plenty of dumbass decisions, but I learned from them and chose to make better ones in the future. It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing right now. In fact, it probably shouldn't be. So it doesn't matter how small or trivial it feels. If it's something you can do for yourself, for your space, or for your own well-being in the moment, it's more important that you do it on your own terms. The mechanism of self-help is the slow growth of personal agency through everyday choices. You don't have to change your life quickly, you simply have to make small changes regularly. These small changes accumulate, and eventually they turn into significant changes. If there's one thing you should keep in mind, please remember that you don't have to do it perfectly, or even correctly the first time. What matters is that you make a decision to begin with. The real power of it is in choosing for yourself.